Salam everyone, welcome to Uzbekistan, the country that we will discuss. Uzbekistan flag. It was officially adopted noong November 18, 1991. The crescent represents the religion of Islam. The 12 stars represent the 12 months in a year and the other representation would be 12 districts. The blue color, sky and water. Red, symbol of life. White, purity and peace. Green stands for nature. 32,755,025 ang populasyon ng Uzbekistan as of May 21, 2019. Uzbekistan population is equivalent to 0.43% of total world population. 77 per kilometer square ang population density. 425,400 kilometer squared ang land area nila. 35.1% ng populasyon ay nasa urban. 26.7 years ang median age. As you can see, this is the map of Uzbekistan, a landlocked country. Tashkent ang kapital ng Uzbekistan with a population of 2,135,700. Ito rin yung pinakamalaking city sa Central Asia. Tashkent means Stone Age in Uzbek. Sa ngayon, ang Tashkent ang main economic and cultural center of Central Asia. Sikat sila sa cotton. Meron din sa kanilang wheat, rice, jute, vegetables, and melons na nag-grow sa bansa nila, and also silkworms. As you can see, the red arrow pointed where Tashkent can be found in Uzbekistan. The government of Uzbekistan. Ang President ng Uzbekistan ang head of state at head of government. Hawak ng government ang executive power while yung legislative power ay hawak ng two chambers of the Supreme Assembly. The government of Uzbekistan ensure guidance over the effective functioning of the country's economy, implementation of the law, and social and cultural development. Ang government ng Uzbekistan ay may tatlong level: executive, legislative, and judicial branch. Religion. According to the official data, merong 2,225 na registered religious organization at 16 different religious confessions sa Uzbekistan. Ang konstitusyon ng Uzbekistan ay nagsasabi na may kakayahang pumili o freedom ang isang tao kung anong religion ang gusto niya sundin. 83% ng Uzbekistani ay mga Islam, 92 doon ay Sunni at ang 1% naman ay Shia. Christianity ay 7% na kung saan ang Orthodox ay 4% at ang Catholicism ay 3%. Uzbekistan is home to many cultures. The majority group is the Uzbek, 71% sila ng population, followed by Russians, Tajik, Kazakhs, and other minority groups. Ang population ng Uzbekistan ay dominantly sa Muslim. Tinitiran sila ng mga Muslim kasi dumami ang Muslim noong 1991 nagsimula. Mahalaga sa kanila ang music dahil ito ay part na ng Uzbek culture. Shaz Makam is a form of classical music similar to classical Persian music. Folk music lives on in religious and family events such as weddings as well as special events. Applied art of Uzbekistan has a wide variety when it comes to style, materials, and ornamentation. Yung art ina-apply nila sa mga pinoproduce nilang mga ceramics and cotton and etc. Sa kanilang embroidery, carpet weaving, and miniature painting have also been revived in their traditional form as well as some modern variants. Sa ngayon, Uzbek craftsmen still practice ancient jewelry making techniques. Traditionally in Uzbekistan, the future groom mother, and other relatives act as a matchmakers, collecting information about the girl and her family and visit the girl home. It is only on the third visit that the girl and her family give their consent to be matched. First part is Shirini Kuri or Eat Sweets, kung saan yung male elders pumupunta sa bahay ng babae para pag-usapan yung details ng kasal. Potiya, engagement. On the day of Potiya, festively dressed women and men walk the streets in a procession led by musicians, the loud music announcing to the entire district that the girl is betrothed and will soon be married. Hinobandon or draw henna. This is the day when the girl invites her friends to her home. The girl draw henna to their palms and feet, and the bride changes her dress to her new clothes. Padar Osh o Padres Pilap. On the morning of the wedding at the bride's house, pilap is prepared. Traditional sad songs are sung as this is the sad day for the father to say farewell to his daughter. Next naman is yung Juma Ipusion. On the same day at the groom's house, they are also preparing pilaf for the evening ceremony. Traditionally, wedding take place in the bride house. In many ways, the wedding is similar to European weddings. Pag tapos na silang ikasal, ang guest ng groom ay aalis sa bahay ng babae or the bride house. Troy Binon or bride seeing. After the bride has arrived at the groom's house, women come to visit the new member of the family and present her with gifts. Binon bride seeing. After the bride has arrived at the groom house, women come to visit the new member of the family and present her with gifts. Damod Salom. Greetings, son-in-law. A few days after the wedding, the bride's family invites the young couple on their first visit to the bride's parents. The bride's mother prepares gifts for her son-in-law and each guest. Sarshuyon or Joy Gundaron make the bed. A week after the wedding, the bride's parents and relatives make a return visit, go to the young couple's house. On the seventh day after the wedding beds are made. The bride's hair is put in a special headpiece called a kaltapusyak that confirms the girl is now a woman. Talbot. In the first months of family life, the young couple are invited to visit relatives from the both sides. All the guests take presents. Uzbekistan money. Ang tawag sa Uzbekistan money ay Uzbekistani sam, kung saan ang 1 Uzbekistani sam ay may katumbas sa Philippine peso na 0.0062. Language of Uzbekistan. The Uzbek language is the official state language of Uzbekistan spoken. Approximately 85% ng populasyon nila ay ginagamit ang Uzbek language. The Uzbek language is a Turkic language closely related to the Uyghur language, and both languages belong to the Karluk languages, a branch of the Turkic language family. Since 1992, naging officially written sa Latin alphabet ang Uzbek language. The language is externally influenced by Russian, Arabic, and Persian. Katulad sa ibang language family ng Turkic language, Uzbek does not have vowel harmony, which is a type of phonological process involving the limitation on which vowels may be used next to each other in a sentence. Ang ilan sa example ng Uzbek language ay Salum, which means hello, Assalamu alaikum, good morning, Ayer, which means bye, Kurish Guncha, which means goodbye. The next would be traditional clothes. Uzbek men's clothing. The basis of national men's suit is a Japan, the quite the kilted robe, tied with a kerchief. Traditionally, men's cap is tobeteka. Kulak is the man's straight cut undershirt. Ishton is men's wide trousers, narrowed at ankles. Traditionally, footwear is high boots, na gawa sa leather. Shirts were worn everywhere, but men from the Fergana Valley and Tashkent region wear a yatak, a wrap shirt. Both of these types were soon from homespun cotton cloth and feature a moderate aesthetics in the form of a decorated miniature breeding jiak stitched along the collar. Belts for gala dresses were normally very smart, made of velvet or embroidered with silver figure metal, plates, and buckles. Everyday shirts are tied with long sashes. Uzbek women's clothing. Traditionally, Uzbek women's suit consists of plain khan, atlas, tunic, dresses, and white trousers. Holiday garments were made of satin fabric richly embroidered with golden thread. Women's head dress consists of three elements: a skull cap, kerchief, and turban. An essential part of traditional holiday garments of Uzbek women are gold and silver jewelry, earrings, bracelets, necklaces. Surkhandaria women most of all prefer the colors of red nuance, a symbol of well-being. The embroidery pattern was chosen not by chance, it always had magic or practical passion.
Foods: wedding pilaf or plov, a delightful mixture of rice, bits of meat, grated carrots and onions and raisins, with a clove of roasted garlic on top. The wedding fart refers to the fact that it is easy to cook in large quantities, traditionally in kazan over an open fire, and is often served on special occasions like weddings. Tashkent salad, named after the capital. This trademark salad is made from boiled biltong, radishes, and fresh greens generously coated in a special yogurt dressing and topped with crispy fried onions. Samsa, a triangular dough pastry that bakes in a tandoor oven so that the bread is somehow both crunchy and super soft. Like mantli, they can be filled with a variety of things, including ground lab, herbs, and the most interesting traditional options, pumpkin. The origin. Uzbekistan is located in the heart of Central Asia, between two large rivers, Amudarya and Siridarya. History of nations living on this territory is more than 1,000 years. These lands became the motherland of civilization, which is perhaps one of the most ancient in the world. History of Uzbekistan is the history of individual and great nations, bloody conquests and large rebellions. It is the history of origin of the most beautiful cities in Central Asia. It is the history of people who heartedly love their homeland. People settled on the territory of Uzbekistan centuries ago. They built beautiful cities of Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, and others, which were ruined by neighboring tribes, but thanks to people efforts they again rose from the ashes and become much beautiful. This land was the crossroad of the Great Silk Road, connecting Asia and Europe. Here in the numerous bazaars and workshops, craftsmen created fine works of art, which by the Silk Road reached the most remote part of Europe and Asia. With the development of humanity, images of light rocks paintings, petrologies, began to appear hunting, battles, and rituals. Exploring the petrologies of different periods of history one can read the history of mankind, the domestication of animals, the first religion ideas, the emergence of weapons, and much more. All this is embedded by our ancestors on the rocks. Next, epoch was the Mesolithic era, 15 to 20 millennia ago. Typical monuments of that period are primitive settlement in Samarkand, upper soil layer of Mackay Cave of the Bison region, rocks painting in the Shivud region and others. Developed Neolithic era is characterized by the transition to a lower stage of barbarism, as evidenced by the settlements on the western part of Grizzled Combe Desert, near Amadara River. Settlement in Uzgun, northern part of Karakum Desert, came dwelling in Sanhadara region and finding in Tashkent, Venkara, Samarkand, and Shurkhandara region. Primitive pottery, shepherd, cattle breeding, and weaving were developed. Bronze epoch in the history of Uzbekistan includes the period from the 3rd millennium to early century of 1st millennium BC. It was the epoch of transformation, formation of first state on the territory of two great rivers, ancient Bactria and Great Kharazm. It was a period of origin of first religion in Central Asia, Zoroastrianism, the first powerful empire of Archimedes. According to archaeologists, Uzbekistan is one of the most ancient places of human habitation. It is known that the area was inhabited long before our era. In the early Paleolithic period, according to the findings of ancient dwellings in Bison Tao Mountains and primitive tools in Samarkand, in the Upper Paleolithic period this land was settled by Neanderthals. The real place, discovered in the Teshik-Tash caves, dates back to the Mousterian culture. Particularly, archaeologists discovered a vial of 8 to 9 years old boy that gave ground to speak about the most ancient ritual or burial on the territory of Central Asia. The child boy was laid into feet, surrounded by bones of a mountain goat. Excavations showed that the man of that period hunted and gathered food from natural sources. Primitive tools were made of stone as well as wood and bones. Festivals. Navsruz. Another New Year celebration held across Uzbekistan is the Navsruz, also Navsruz, Nowruz, and many other variations. The word Navsruz means New Day in Iranian, so naturally Navzun is Iranian New Year, held every March 21. Navsruz is a auspicious event for many Uzbeks because it is at this time of year they pin hopes of revival and renewal. All over the country, families and local communities prepared sumptuous feasts for all to enjoy. Shark Taronalari. Shark Taronalari is Uzbekistan International World Music Festival, first held in 1997 in Samarkand. The festival has attracted a growing number of performers and participants through the years. It usually takes place every summer. Folk singers who practice traditional music genres such as Yuran Kai, throat singing, and Makam, sacred classical melodic Uzbek music, come to the festival to perform. Baisun Bahuri. Many local provincial celebrations take place in the various parts of Uzbekistan during spring. The biggest and perhaps the most culturally significant event is the Boysun's Bahuri, or the Boysun Spring Festival, held in the mountainous Boysun in Sarkandaria province. This festival dates back to the pre-Islam times and features costume, songs, dance performance, storytelling, and other local traditions which have withstood the test of time. This event is to steep in the region history and culture that UNESCO has named the Boyson Cultural Space as masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. Climate. Spring season. March, April, and May. Summer season. June, July, and August. Autumn. September, October, and November. Winter. December, January, and February.
Sports. Additionally, Uzbekistan poster equestrians and wrestlers. They have these wrestling sports called kurash, which is an upright wrestling. Kurash refers to a number of folk wrestling styles that were practiced in Central Asia. The players are inside the big circle and uses towels to hold their opponents, and their goal is to throw them off the pit. Para lang siyang sumo wrestling, kaso ang kaibahan lang sa kanya sa sumo, dito any size can join. Halimbawa, kahit mapayat pwede. Sa sumo wrestling kasi mga malalaking katawan lang sumasali. Today, football is now regarded as their most popular sport. The first international club cup for Uzbek football was in 2011 when NASA won AFC Cup. Uzbekistan had two teams. One is FC Bunyuk Yudkor, the current champion, and the FC Paktakur Tashkent, who holds the most championships. Because of this, Paktakur Markazi Stadium with a capacity of 35,000 was built and is now mostly used for football matches. The last part would be history. Noong 1st century BC, Central Asia including present-day Uzbekistan forms an important part of the overland trade routes known as the Great Silk Road, linking China and with the Middle East and Imperial Rome. Noong 7th to 8th centuries, Arabs conquered the area and converted its inhabitants to Islam. Noong 9th to 10th centuries, Persian Samanid dynasty becomes dominant and the develops of Bukhara as important center of Islamic culture. Noong 13th to 14th century, Central Asia ay sinakop ni Genghis Khan and naging part ng Mughal Empire. Noong 14th century, Mughal Turkic ruler Tamerlane established empire with Samarkand as its capital. Noong 18th to 19th centuries, rise of independent Uzbek state of Bukhara, Kokand, and Samarkand. Next naman sa turning points ng Uzbekistan is Russian influence. Noong 1865 to 1860s, next naman ay ang Russian influence sa Uzbekistan noong 1865 to 1876. Russians take Tashkent and make it the capital of its Turkestan province, incorporating vast areas of Central Asia. They also make Bukhara and Khiva protectorates and annex Kokand. Noong 1917 to 1920, Bolsheviks gradually conquered Turkestan, Bukhara, and Khiva. Noong 1912 to 1922, new communist rulers closed down mosques and prosecute Muslim clergy as part of secularization campaign. Noong 1921 to 1924, reorganization of Soviet member states resulted in the creation of Uzbekistan and its neighbors. Next naman ay ang resettlements of minorities. Noong 1930s, Soviet leader Stalin urges independent-minded Uzbek leaders, replacing them with Moscow loyalists. Noong 1950s to 80s, cotton production boosted by major irrigation projects, which, however, contribute to the dying out of the Aral Sea. Noong 1966, devastating earthquakes destroyed much of capital Tashkent. Noong 1970s to 1980s, Communist chief Sharaf Rashidov ensures the promotion of ethnic Uzbek over Russian officials. Noong 1989 naman, Karimov becomes leader of Uzbek Communist Party. Violent attacks take place against Meskhetian Turks and other minorities in the Fergana Valley. National movement barely founded. Next naman is ang independence ng Uzbekistan. Noong 1990, Communist Party of Uzbekistan declares economic and political sovereignty. Si Karimov ang naging president. Noong 1991, President Karimov initially supports the attempted anti-Gorbachev coup by conservatives in Moscow. Uzbekistan declares independence and following the collapse of the USSR, joins the Commonwealth of Independent States. Mr. Karimov returned as president in direct election in which opposition's groups are allowed to field candidates. Noong 1992, si President Karimov bans the Berlik and ERC opposition parties whose members are arrested in large numbers. Noong 1995, nagkaroon ng referendum extend Mr. Karimov's terms of office for another 5 years. Sa mga Islamic attacks sa Uzbekistan, 1999, bomb in Tashkent kung saan more than a dozen people ang namatay. President blames Islamic movement of Uzbekistan. 2001 naman, Uzbekistan, China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan launched Shanghai Cooperation Organization to tackle ethnic and Islamic extremism and promote trade and investment. Noong 2001, ang Uzbekistan allows US to use its air bases for action in Afghanistan against the Taliban. 2002 January, President Karimov wins support for extending the presidential term from 5 years to 7 years, and a referendum criticized as a ploy to hang on to power. 2003 December, President Karimov sacks long-standing Prime Minister Otkir Sultanov, citing country's poorest ever cotton harvest. Shavkat Mirziyoyev replaces him. So, kung mapapansin nyo, si President Karimov ay laging na-extend ang kanyang term. Video na ito, mapapakita kung sino ba si Mr. Karimov bilang President ng Uzbekistan.
Islam Karimov rose to power in 1991, winning an overwhelming but questionable victory in the first presidential election following independence from what was the Soviet Union. He never let that power go. For 25 years, he ruled more than 31 million Uzbeks with an iron fist, using brutal tactics to clamp down on even the whisper of dissent. It left no room for opposition voices, and the government has been repeatedly criticised for human rights abuses, religious repression and censorship. The United Nations describes the use of torture in Uzbekistan as systematic. A former British ambassador to Uzbekistan accused Karimov's security forces of executing 2 dissidents by boiling them to death. Reporters Without Borders said Karimov frequently broke his own records for repression and paranoia. In a country where information is tightly controlled, it's difficult to know exactly what happened under Karimov's rule.
Information is not available to ordinary men. Everything you hear is subjective. No one knows what is true and what's not. The strong always judge the weak.
But there's little doubt Karimov ordered troops to put down an uprising in the eastern city of Andijan when he faced unprecedented public protests 11 years ago. And he showed disdain for any alternative view.
They took up arms and attacked the prison, releasing prisoners including murderers and terrorists. Then they came out on the streets and seized a government building, and afterwards they hold a so-called peaceful demonstration. Tell me, please, esteemed journalists, can you really believe this is true?
Officially, more than 30 troops and at least 130 so-called terrorists were killed. Unofficially, the number is 700, many of them civilians, some reportedly summarily executed by security forces. There were international protests, relations with the United States and the European Union soured. But it didn't last. 6 years later, the head of the EU Commission shook hands with the Uzbek leader to the outrage of rights groups.
It's difficult to conceive of a more ruthless leader around the world than Mr. Karimov. For him to be received warmly by Mr. Moroso is, in a sense, a culmination of this gradual capitulation to Uzbekistan and the ignoring of the principles that at one point stood behind the EU's firm response to the Andijan massacre.
Karimov's replacement is unclear. He has no obvious successor because of family infighting. His elder daughter has been under house arrest for the past 2 years since she criticised officials and family members on Twitter. Uzbekistan has never held an election judged free and fair by international monitors. His death leaves a political vacuum, an opportunity for some, a potential crisis for others.
Thank you very much for listening. Rahmat.